Today is the last day for pending restricted free agents still in the rookie deals to sign an extension with their teams to avoid going into restricted free agency at the end of the season. And Jalen Suggs, who was requesting the same amount of money as Josh Giddey at $30 million, just got paid. And what does that mean for Josh Giddey? Well, he's still going to have to earn it. But we're going to talk a little bit about that, plus more, and look at the rookie extensions around the NBA, all that and more on today's Chicago Bulls Central.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, and we got one for you guys. Josh Giddey was requesting, reportedly, right? This is all report, $30 million annually in his next contract extension. Now, about a day after that, it came out that Jalen Suggs also was looking at a deal that was about $30 million annually to get his contract extension. Well, today, Jalen Suggs signed a 5-year, $50.5 million deal with the Orlando Magic, which is exactly what he was requesting. So that brings into picture of what Josh Giddey is going to be looking for at the table. Now, I want to be clear here. These two players are two very different players, right? Jalen Suggs is a player that did make an all-defensive team, which could be something that puts him a little bit of ahead. Of course, when you look at their raw stats, Josh Giddey kills him in the raw stat category. But again, defense is not like a one stat you can just look at to really kind of understand the defensive impact the player has. Also, the team's needs factor into how much they're willing to play a player as well. The Orlando Magic, which are a solid defensive team, that's really their identity. They're looking at offense, right? But they don't want to lose what they already have defensively. And Jalen Suggs is a player that they drafted that's been there in their system. And, you know, he's going to get a little bit more because of that, or they're going to be willing to give him a little bit more. Now, I want to be clear here. Even with Josh Giddey and his contract demands, I pointed out Josh Giddey's not going to get the full 5-year. Now, if Giddey comes into this season, has an all-star type season, fits in extremely well with Kobe White, that may change. As of right now, I don't see a world in which the Bulls give Giddey $30 million over the full 5-year extension. Now, could be wrong on that, right? We'll see what happens with that. But both these guys are the starting point guards now, respectively, for their team. Jalen Suggs, whose team is right now well ahead of the Bulls in the standings as far as being a clear playoff team that's trying to contend for more. The Bulls are trying to figure out where the hell they're about to be in the standings and things like that. But when you look at it, Jalen Suggs had his best season last year for the Orlando Magic, in which he averaged 12.6 points per game on 47% shooting, 39% shooting from three-point range, taking 5 per game, 2.7 assists, 1.4 steals, and 3 rebounds. That comparatively is, when you look at Josh Giddey's worst season, which was last year statistically, they're kind of around the same area. Now, Jalen Suggs is a way better three-point shooter than what Josh Giddey is. I wish Josh Giddey was that type of shooter, but Josh Giddey averages more assists, more rebounds. He's not that far off on steals, but we know that Jalen Suggs is a much better on-ball defender. Jalen Suggs has turned himself into one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. So even with his offense not being to what Josh Giddey is averaged, he's definitely that defensive impact negates some. But I think it still comes down to, and I said this in the opening of the show, Josh Giddey is still going to have to earn it. He's not getting the contract extension. If he was getting a contract extension, I believe it would have been announced by now. I keep refreshing just in case, though, because you never know. Teams do weird shit. But if Josh Giddey has a big season for the Bulls, what you like to look at is how the market is set, right? That's one thing that happens among all sports, among all positions in sports. A market is set. And so Jalen Suggs, in a way, has set the market for this crop of the rookie class, right? And so that 150-year, $5 million deal, you best believe other guards, other players are going to look at that and say, hey, listen, how can I get close to that? You also got to look at the fact that Jalen Green as well signed a 2+1 $106 million deal, right? That's bananas. Another deal over $30 million annually. So The guard market right now for these guards going into the fourth year has been set. And Josh Giddey and his representation would be stupid not to try to take that to the negotiating table when they go there to the Bulls. But I want to be clear here. The Bulls would be stupid right now to sign Josh Giddey for $30 million. Hands down. Now, if he's going to live up to that contract and earn it over this year, cool. If the Bulls were to give Josh Giddey even 3 years, $90 million right now, you're stupid. You're dumb. And the reason why I say that is, again, position and need. Josh Giddey is a talent. Make no mistake about it. Josh Giddey is a talent. I want to be clear here. And I think Josh Giddey is probably going to have a pretty damn good season with the Bulls. But when it's all said and done, right now, you don't know how Josh Giddey's going to fit with Kobe White for a full season. You don't know how Josh Giddey's going to fit with Zach LaVine for a full season. You may have an idea, but you don't know. Magic have been there. Jalen Suggs has been there in that building. Jalen Green has been there in the Houston Rockets building. So it makes it a little bit different of a conversation. And you also got to look at a player like Kuminga, right, who has been on that Golden State Warriors team but did not get his rookie scale extension right now and is going to have to go into restricted free agency. Unfortunately, Josh Giddey hasn't been here on the Bulls long. And also, unfortunately for Josh Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White have shown themselves to be able to be a solid backcourt together that have chemistry. So the Bulls have that in their back pocket right now. The Bulls would be foolish to give Josh Giddey $30 million right now. Now, if he was willing to sign for 3 years, 2 years, 20, 22, $24 million, maybe you can work yourself into that thinking you then have a couple of more years to really see how he's going to work in your system, what Peter Patton can do for him. But at this point in time, right now, the Bulls don't need to be giving Josh Giddey $30 million. They just don't. I'm sorry. I get that the market was set. Shout out to Jalen Suggs for getting his money. Shout out to Jalen Green for getting his money. Shout out to those guys for getting paid. You deserve it. You'll go out there and get paid. And I will say this as well. You guys know I like to talk about things from all sides. Josh Giddey and his representation also deserve to look at that and say, hey, we believe our guy's better than Jalen Suggs. We believe our guy can bring more to your franchise that's clearly going on a retooling, rebuild, whatever you want to call it. We think that he can offer just as much as Jalen Suggs does to that Magic team. We think that he can offer that to the Bulls. And the Bulls, AK should sit there across the table, take off his imaginary glasses and say, prove it. Prove it. We will be happy that we got the contract right here. We will be happy to slide this contract to you at the end of this season if you go out there and prove it. But until then, we don't know. And potential ain't won us shit. We just gave a potential deal out to Patrick Williams. You think we finna give you a potential deal and we ain't even seen you play for us? Now, I know that AK and Eversley have had a bunch of generational incompetence. I understand that. But let's be clear here. It would be even more so. It would be extraordinary incompetence if they were to give Josh Giddey $30 million right now. Let the man earn it. If you believe in him, he believes in himself, earn it. Earn it. And that's just what it comes down to, right? But the Jalen Suggs deal, I do think, sets a precedent now for guards that are successful in this class to go out there and get their money. And that's what I mean by the title as far as Jalen Suggs' deal does set up Josh Giddey to be paid, but it's up to Josh Giddey to earn that contract. It's up to him to earn that he deserves to be in that conversation. It's up to him to earn that, to show and prove that he can be a guy that is worth that amount of money. And with this Bulls front office too, you don't even have to prove it 100%. If he proves 85% of it, they're probably going to give him his money, right? And keep in mind, in no way am I saying in this that the Bulls need to trade Josh Giddey or let him walk away for nothing. Those are very different things. So please, my reactionary typers, stop typing, take your chubby fingers, put them down, pick up your Doritos or your Pringles or your kettle cooked chips if you're trying to be a little bit more healthy, and listen to what I'm saying. It's not either or. It's not you either pay Josh Giddey $30 million or you let him walk away for nothing. It very well could be that Josh Giddey goes through this season and has an okay season, and then you tell him, all right, bet. Go out there and find your deal. Just like we matched Zach LaVine's deal a couple years ago, that was a different front office. Go out there and find your deal. You want $30 million. We don't think you're worth $30 million. We think you're worth 22. Go out there and find it. We can match it. That's it. That's it. Because I tell you what, in the way the conversation around Josh Giddey right now, he's not going to go out and get $30 million out in the open market. Now, that could change If once again, Josh Giddey has a great season, but it's up to Giddey to have a great season to make that happen. It's up to him to have a great season to make that happen. But let's see how you guys are feeling. Do we have? Yes, we have Giddey's bird rights because you traded for him, so we absorb those bird rights. Jalen Suggs is on the exact same team that he's been drafted on, and not only that, he's actually proven himself to be better and better with each year. Honestly, Josh is in a different situation. I'm just saying. Well, no, I mean, let's be clear here. Josh Giddey proved himself to be better every year, except last year when they phased him out of the offense. So I get what you're saying, and that's what I did say in my rant. Him not being on the same team definitely plays a part into that. Any truth to the Michael Porter for Levine rumors? I haven't read that from any credible source. So, are we going to be able to sign Giddey this season, or are we hard cap? Well, so we're hard cap this season, but the extension doesn't kick in until next season. So, yes, they could extend him right now. Yes, sir. CBC over the Sloth Sluggish. That's crazy. That's hilarious, Jacob Home. I hope Josh can pan out with this new team so he can get his money, but only time will tell. That's a fact. Only time will tell. The best thing for Josh to do this season is hope this team starts winning, because those names that you mentioned, I have somewhat of a winning record. Somewhat. I get what you're saying, but it's more than that, right? Like, this team and the place that they're in, the winning or losing doesn't come down to Josh Giddey. Now, he can be a part of it, but it doesn't all come down to Josh Giddey. Surely there is someone who is a playmaker and can shoot the ball. I mean, but you just need shooting around him, right? That's up to you to figure it out. Well, the front office, not you. If Lonzo leaves after this year and has an impact, then Giddey is also a backup plan for that, and they get to watch it play out with Lonzo mentoring Giddey. I don't think Giddey's a backup plan for anybody. Lonzo's an insurance policy, but he's not. It's like Lonzo Ball is not passing up Josh Giddey as a starting point guard this year with all the restrictions they're going to have around him. And then you got to factor in, is the Bulls going to want to take a risk on then an almost 28-year-old point guard with a new knee? I mean, they could, right? They very well could. I want to be clear there, but they very well could now. Bulls Daily in the building says, all well, family, hit that like button. Appreciate you, brother. They should take the Ryan Poles approach with Giddey like he did with Jalen Johnson. Prove it. Go out there and prove. And I'll say this, Jalen Johnson was a lot more proven of a commodity than what Josh Giddey is right now. And they still went out there and made him prove it, right? Lonzo off the books allows for that, at least that much to an offer as well. Oh, of course. And I've gone over it before. The Bulls' long-term cap outlook is really, really good. This season was bad because we just started reconfiguring things, but by the 2026-27 season, the Bulls are actually in excellent cap position, and that's even if they re-sign Io, re-sign Kobe White, re-sign Josh Giddey. Now, that's a lot of money to spend on guards, but I'm just saying that they have the ability to do that, right? Our cap situation is looking a lot better around there. Speaking of line, so I'm sorry, man, but even after this year, even if you were to have a good year, I wouldn't even think about re-signing them because you don't know how long the knees is going to hold out. And that's something that's definitely a risk that the Bulls would have to take, and they may not be willing to take that risk considering, I mean, look at the situation they are now with the injury concerns and pieces they weren't able to move because of injuries and things like that. So for sure. What do you think about Chris Duarte and TH? Chris Duarte has no role. Chris Duarte's role, the best role for Chris Duarte is to be the best water boy in the NBA. Chris Duarte has no role. Now, THT is a little bit different. He's still a back end of the bench player. People have let the preseason work them up to thinking THT is going to be this key rotational guy. I just don't see that. We'll see how it turns out. But THT is going to be a solid bench player for you. And then especially if you end up like moving on from Craig, if a team comes calling and things like that, it allows a lot of insurance. So we'll see. He's worth about 18 to 20 million a year right now, but he has to play like he's expected of him to get that. Fact. I mean, like 100%. Like if the Bulls were to announce today, like we got a couple of hours left before, as they can still, let's say in the next hour, it's announced that the Chicago Bulls signed Josh Giddey for 3 years at an average of 23 million a year. I'm not mad at that deal. I'm not mad at it. Is it a great deal for still all the uncertainty? No, but I'm not mad at that deal. That's at this point, that's almost a little above mid-level. It's about mid-level and mid-level exception and a half money. I'm okay with that. Again, still Josh Giddey would have to live up to it to make it worth it, but I'm okay with it. It's a risk that I would be willing to take. Now, on the flip side of that, if the Bulls were to announce today, We came to a 3-year contract extension for Josh Giddey for 3 years, $92 million. AK needs to be smacked. He needs to be smacked. So I love the running vibe of this team. So tired of any fast break shutting down because DeMar had to slowly dribble the ball for 20 seconds every possession. We moved a lot faster last year than you're giving it credit for, but I agree with that. I haven't seen a $30 million a year player yet in Giddey since he's been in the league, but I doubt how much you watched him. I'm sorry. And you can go and research this yourself. Josh Giddey, for if you look at any player that has been in the top 10 of triple doubles for 3 years in a row, on top of is in the 92nd percentile over his 3 years in the NBA of generating open shots for his teammates. All those players get paid ridiculously well. We're not even talking about the scoring averages or anything like that. Go and look at those numbers. Go and do your own research. I'm just going to go and do your own. I did it because I looked at when I was looking at what Josh Giddey could bring to this team. The things, and I get it. It's a sour taste left because of how Josh Giddey's season ended last year in the playoffs and being unplayable in that round against the Mavericks. But for the players that have done what Josh Giddey has done in his first 3 years in the league, typically those players get max extensions on their next contract. Just does it. So, I mean, again, that's not even me saying that I'm just going off the history. I'm not saying what I would do or not, but historically, those players get maxes. Not super maxes, but those players get maxes. What would a Phillips Terry extension look like? That's really difficult to gauge right now, especially for Dalen Terry. He just hasn't played a lot. And Julian Phillips is in his second year in the NBA. You don't even need to be thinking about extensions for Phillips right now. Now you got 2 more years before you got to think about extensions for Dalen, but Phillips, you don't even need to think about an extension right now. Chris Duarte will probably be moved in a move with Nikola Vucevic or Zach LaVine when they find a good deal for you. I mean, you really can't say that. You really can't say that. The percent of the cap it takes up matters most going forward on all facts. And $30 million is about 20% of the cap, if I'm not mistaken. But keep in mind, you're always over the cap. So that's just, when you hear that it's 20% of the cap, it means without going into, because, there's that period where you can go over the cap, but you're between that and the luxury tax. That's where the Bulls are every year, right? They're underneath that first tax apron. So the percentage of the cap is just the actual salary cap. That's not taking into consideration that area you have between the luxury tax and the salary cap where you can go over the salary cap, right? But yeah, 20% of the cap is, let's see. Over under 4 stiff arms for Bobito and Drip on Pat and JC. I got over 2 running backs on the squad. The Windy City Breeze doesn't stand a chance. That's hilarious. Mel Millie, thank you, Haize, because what the fuck is he talking about? Giddey is nice. He just hasn't shown enough with this team. Facts. 100%. Andre Drummond said on a pod recently on playing with the Bulls had him thinking on retiring despite being a 10 and 11 guy off the bench. What that said to coaching, if any, that's crazy. I didn't even see that interview. That sucks. That really sucks, man. That's crazy. I mean, but I can understand it. Like the fact that Billy Donovan so seldomly used Andre Drummond, and Andre Drummond has such a special skill set. It's really crazy, man. It's really unfortunate when it all comes down to it because, like, he's capable of so much. So much, man. But yeah, I just wanted to come here on that live and talk about that for a second. It's definitely market setting money, but it does not mean that the Bulls are going to be in a rush to give it to him. We'll see what happens. We'll see how that develops, and we'll see. I was going to check that interview out too, but didn't. That's crazy. That's crazy. Look on the bright side. At least Kobe White and Io's contract isn't due yet. Now those are the ones that I'm really worried about. That's next season. And this is what I'll say. And this is what I've been saying. And I may do a video on this. Let me know if you guys would be interested in me. Like, it may be too early though. That's why I haven't done it. But in this upcoming offseason, after the end of this season, I think that the Bulls should go ahead and extend Kobe White and Io DeSumo. If they have another solid year, go ahead and get, because I'll tell you what, if you let them have 3 years in a row of the production that they gave and look like they're about to give this season, listen, them motherfuckers about to get paid. They about to get paid. What up, bro? I like the addition of Josh Giddey to the squad, but I would not pay him over Io. Well, no, I mean it's not over Io. Io's going to get his money too, but you can't make that. Io was in a much different situation when his extension was up. The Kobe hire ceiling is a really good question. I've thought about myself. Yeah, I mean it's a it's an interesting one. Windy City Breeze, G League champs with the most physical front court, or Windy City Bulls, G League champs. I mean, it takes more than that to win in the G League, but I think we're going to have a very entertaining G League team this year. I think we're going to have a very, very entertaining G League team. And I'm excited to cover it. For those that don't know, I do weekly episodes on the G League. It's not worth doing daily. It's not even worth doing semi-daily. But I will do weekly updates on the G League. So if you guys want all your G League news analysis from the players down there, that's coming. That's coming. But all right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this random midday episode. I always appreciate you guys because you always show out for me in midday live streams. I appreciate that. Make sure you guys are following the show at, hold on. Kobe ceiling will never be higher than Zach's ceiling. He could play better if he hits his ceiling and Zach sucks. Come on, guys. I'm sorry, but if you look at Kobe White's, if you look at Zach LaVine's best season and Kobe White's best season on both sides of the ball, not just offensive output, on both sides of the ball, point differential, defensive rating, Kobe White's last season was right up there with Zach LaVine's best season, and especially before he got hurt. So you're wrong there. I'm sorry, that's just wrong. And Kobe hasn't nearly scratched the surface. Like, if you're just looking at scoring, yeah, Zach LaVine is going to be a way more pure scorer than Kobe White ever can. But when you look at the defensive aspect, when you look at the playmaking aspect, when you look at open shots generated, keeping his head up, lack of turnovers, performance in the clutch, Kobe White's season last year was better than Zach LaVine's best statistical season when you take everything into consideration and not just look at box score stats. Sorry, I got to disagree with you on that one. Now, maybe that's me looking too much into analytics, which I'm a very analytical person. I look at everything. I look at possessions. I look at where you score, the flawlessness in which you score, how it played into your teammates, how many charges you drew, how many fouls you drew. I look at all of that. I don't just go and look and say, Zach LaVine averaged 26 points per game, Kobe White 19.7. Zach LaVine shot a little bit better. Zach LaVine's the better player. No, I look at the totality of the game of basketball. And in the totality of the game of basketball, you can't say that Zach LaVine's ceiling is that much higher than Kobe White's. You just can't realistically say it. Sorry. You can't say that. So, what would be the most you'd give Giddey an offer for an extension if you were AK right now? I'd say 26 to 28 over 3 to 4 years. That's just me. I said between 24 and 20 and 24 million is where I'd like to stay at if it was me. But we'll see. We'll see. Kobe's game is more well-rounded than Zach's. That's agreeable. I agree with that. But all right, y'all. If any other news drops, we drop. We'll also be going live over NBA Central to talk about all the rookie scale extensions here in a second. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments. By the way, hold on. Let's stop this real quick. Hold on. I need everybody to go and subscribe to NBA Central. That's what I need you to do, is to go and subscribe to NBA Central. Everybody needs to subscribe to NBA Central. I've been dropping daily episodes over there for about 2 weeks now. We're really over there. I'm really focused on making NBA Central a thing this next year. I'm going to try. Let me get the link so I can put it in the description. I need everybody to go over to NBA Central. And I need y'all to subscribe because there's no reason why we got 20,000 subscribers over here and less than 2,000 on NBA Central. It doesn't make any sense. Y'all freeload. Go over there and subscribe to NBA Central. Do that. And that's what it is. I gotta disagree with you here. Is that when you stop growing, that's your ceiling. We can talk about the potential ceiling but no, Zach LaVine is probably hit his ceiling. Now he can still refine his game for sure, but no, you can't say he's never hit his ceiling. That every player hits their ceiling. You just got to come to the terms that that's actually their ceiling. Follow NBA Central. Make sure you guys are following us. Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can.